Hello and welcome to this short briefing. In this video, I will describe the Centrify OU structure that is going to be created during your evaluation or during your implementation. Centrify has created best practices over the years for OU layout, delegations, groups for administration, etc. They're all designed to enforce the principles of separation of duties and to make sure that the data that Centrify stores is in a consistent place. So most likely what is going to happen is during your evaluation, Access Manager is going to be installed. When Access Manager is installed, it has to be initialized. Part of the initialization process is the creation of the OU structure, right? So this means that the end user that's going to be running this particular program has to have the proper rights in AD. Right? So notice that you have several options. You have the ability to generate the deployment structure using this wizard, right? And basically the wizard will walk you through picking up the location of where you want those objects to be placed, and it will actually create those for you automatically, right? So if you run that, it's going to create the OU structure automatically, right? Once you have that created, you can continue forward designating what is the licenses container, the zones container, and everything else. In Active Directory, let's explore what was created, right? So by default, this is going to create a Centrify OU with a sub-OU called Centrify Administration. In here, you can see that you have several groups that are used to separate duties regardless of what can people do from an operational perspective, what can people do from a security perspective, right? But you don't necessarily have to abide by this naming convention, and I'll show you how. The other component is a MTOU for computer roles. Those are constructs that can be used to group systems. Another one for computers, and this one is basically an optional container because you may already have a different place that you put computers based on maybe 80 sites. Licenses is where the Centrify license is going to be stored, and a class store object is going to be put in there. Only a strong administrator can do this. Provisioning groups may be used if you're using automatic provisioning. Service accounts is self-explanatory. Unix groups if you want your AD groups that are going to be Unix enabled to be consolidated in a single OU. User roles is if you're using Active Directory role groups to assign roles in Unix, or you can use that OU to do that. But notice that the only essential OUs that are needed so far right now are the licenses container and the zones container. So zones are Centrify constructs that basically allow you to do a lot of things like Unix identity management, privilege management, and many other things. So pretty much all this is optional, right? You can use the wizard. I'm going to go ahead and by default, this is really important. The containers are not protected, right? So the idea is that if you are doing an evaluation and you want to go ahead and delete it, you have the ability to go ahead and delete all the objects, and that's it. Once you join the systems from AD, there's no trace of Centrify. And the benefit here is there's no schema extensions and no software and domain controllers, right? Alternatively, you can run the Access Manager, and instead you can have Access Manager export the scripts for you, right? So if I run it again, I have the ability to say, well, instead of you running that script, I want to be able to inspect the script or modify it, right? So you can basically go ahead and create your own custom ones, or you can export the script, right? I have actually exported the script already, right? So I exported the script to my C drive in the scripts folder, right? And I already have it open. So let's inspect it a little bit, right? This script allows you to provide a help, a nice online help, and let's go ahead and maximize this. So notice that you can pass many parameters to the script if you want to run it via PowerShell. The typical execution will be, running PowerShell as administrator, setting the execution policy as unrestricted, right? And notice that I have the ability to basically say, hey, I don't want the OU to be called Centrify. I want it to be called something else. I want the sub OU or the path to be different. And there's different recommended structures. In this particular example, when I run the script, it's going to create basically a Unix OU instead of a Centrify OU. So if I run it, what you see is going to basically run. And if I go ahead and refresh in Active Directory, what you see is that the same structure has been created with a different name, right? And some differences here. So if you are working with a Centrify professional services person or an SC, they will be sending you this information ahead of time. Also, you have the ability to create all these objects by hand, right? And it will, allow you to have the most flexibility, right? You can pre-create them by hand and then do the delegations afterwards, but it will require intervention from the AD administrator. So you have a lot of flexibility, but the key here is A, no schema extensions, B, no software and domain controllers, flexibility for the naming convention and the location of objects, and again, if you wanted to delete the whole tree, it's very easy to do so without leaving stuff behind in your Active Directory. And I'm hoping that this video helped. Most likely, I will be sending you an email at the same time with the instructions.